Tyler Florence is here, and his new book is called Inside the Test Kitchen, 120 New Recipes Perfected. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here, guys. How are you?
We've already been talking your ear off since you sat down, and started just with the fact that this is a beautiful book. It's got the strap. It's kind of so hard to see here, but then it really
It's got a strap, people.
It's got a strap.
It's got a strap.
Get it. But it looks like that,
Check out the strap.
the moleskin kind of notebook, and it does look like something you'd be keeping your notes in.
You know, it's a journal. It took us about a year and a half, excuse me, to write the book, and normally I can get a book done in about 3 or 4 months, but this book took a long time because we really dove into, I think, a new territory of cooking, and that's really exploring why we do things the way we do them. And so we took about 120 concepts. Some are familiar, and some are concepts we're just sort of exploring. And we took a lot of recipes and we ripped them apart and put them back together again in a way that I think really kind of makes sense and simplifies a lot of cooking. The risotto, I think, is a really good example of that. We took a traditional risotto recipe and timed it, and it takes about 42 minutes to make just sort of a arborio rice, a little bit of minced onion, white wine, chicken stock, and kind of let it simmer one ladle at a time. And for me, it always seems like untested alchemy. Like if I know that there's a 3-1 ratio between arborio rice and stock, why can't I just add the stock at one time? What would really happen if you ever did a thing like that? So we would just kind of play around with recipes and see if it actually worked. It turns out it's fabulous, and it takes the cooking time from 42 minutes down to 27 minutes. Oh, wow. So now it really kind of makes sense.
120 perfected recipes, that's a lot of food testing.
It's a lot of food testing. To me, that's what I really love about it. Like we just spent a week, and the first I've been cooking professionally for 30 years, and we've always had to cook on a deadline. Because I own 3 restaurants in San Francisco, and there's a menu that needs to be written for a particular season, and it has to be out by next week. So sometimes you have to call it and say, okay, this is great. This is delicious. But now I think we're in this new level of diving deep to find the most perfect version of what this particular thing is. We perfected, I think, a new way to cook a turkey that is just incredible. And I think it's really timely, especially around Thanksgiving.
Well,
this is good.
I actually cooked one this weekend. Yes.
Are you doing a late Thanksgiving?
A late Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, let me show you some pictures. We just did this last week, as a matter of fact, and we took a 16-pound turkey, and we cooked it in an hour and a half.
You can show right here.
16 pounds.
Yeah, so if you see this, so you have to spatchcock the turkey. You have to take the spine out, right? So with a pair of kitchen shears, right? With a pair of simple kitchen shears, you just cut the backbone out of it, right? And then instead of cooking a big, huge ball, you're cooking a flat disc. You have more cooking surface area, so the legs actually cook quicker than the breast.
This is so brilliant. When did you come up with the idea to do this? Because it is what every home chef wants.
Right.
For example, I made a stew, a coq au vin.
So we actually, instead of putting the stuffing inside the cavity, we put the stuffing inside the underneath the skin itself, right? Ooh. So the skin gets super crispy, if you guys can see that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the legs are actually gorgeous. So a 16-pound bird can be cooked in an hour and a half, and it's perfect.
Does it affect the flavor at all?
No, it's actually even better. So this is where this gets really interesting, because, like, especially with turkeys, people produce what I call Band-Aid techniques to really kind of mask and hide what was a flawed concept to even begin with. Like putting a 15-pound bird in an oven, for 3 or 4 hours just seems sort of ludicrous, and everybody's stressing about it because like they don't really. There's no new method. Everybody says, okay, you got to brine it. How do you do that in a cooler outside? Like it just seems in a big saltwater bath for 24 hours. It just seems like, what is it?
Yes, it's such a big hoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can fry it. I mean, haven't we all seen enough YouTube videos where some guy in Alabama burned his house down? Like, I just don't think. So to me, it's about cooking it perfectly, right? So, like, putting a whole turkey in an oven, to me, makes as much sense as putting half a cow in an oven to get a filet mignon, right? So if you really kind of think about the technique and open the turkey up by just with a pair of kitchen shears, and it's about 4 cuts. It's a lot easier than you think it is. And then a really, really good salt rub. And then we took the stuffing, made a traditional stuffing, pureed it a little bit, putting it into a piping bag, and then pipe it underneath the skin. Okay. And you put it in the oven. The whole thing cooks. The whole thing.
Talk about your device. Can we? Because we only have a minute, and I know it's totally off topic, but because you are an American using a BlackBerry, a Canadian device, and we know
We're North American.
You're North American?
North American.
North American, there you go. But it's not exactly the popular choice these days. And being a Canadian company, it's like, wow, why are you making that choice?
Well, to me, I've had every iPhone, and I just can't chase the battery. It's just not my thing. I was on 90 flights last year. You know, I was up in the air for 90 days last year. So for me, battery life is everything. Security is everything. I'm very, very security focused with a lot of our content, a lot of our IP.
Sure.
I'm the CEO of 2 tech companies. So to me, like having information travel back and forth where clouds aren't going to get hacked. So I'm a BES client as well. Especially this particular technology, this phone is brilliant. It's brilliant, right?
Someday you're going to have to go just down the road now or to the headquarters in Kitchener-Waterloo.
I think it's great, but I think it's kind of awesome if you
there?
really kind of check it out. I think it's if you get a chance to play around with it. Everybody said like the 1-to-1 aspect ratio was kind of awkward, but I think it's actually really beautiful. And like Netflix, I mean, I've got all the, whatever app you want. I've got right. I mean, there's 3 different stores to shop from. So it's great.
You got it all.
I just love it. I'm definitely a technologist, so I think this kind of stuff is cool. But just the color on this thing is just
one more turkey question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The turkey question.
Okay, can you get the butcher to get the spine out, or do you have
to do it yourself?
I can get my butcher to
do
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
You say spatchcock. Just walk in and say spatchcock. Can you guys see spatchcock? Spatchcock.
It's a family show.
No, well, it's a cooking technique. But so you take the turkey, you flip it over, and if you can just take your lines and follow the spine, right? You just want to take that out.
Okay.
Right, and if you take it, you have kitchen scissors?
I do.
All right, so it's actually a lot less complicated than you think.
Okay, this is the best thing I've learned all week, Tyler.
Right.
Best thing I've learned.
Really good salt rub. Yes, it is. The recipe's in here, and there's a lot of. There you go.
Thank you.
So we take a lot of really kind of interesting concepts. Some dishes you're going to really recognize right away. Some recipes we're just sort of inventing. And I think it's just great. This is a
come back because we could talk all day.
Yeah, we could. I would love to come back. And I'm in San Francisco. I've been there for almost 10 years. I've been a winemaker for almost 10 years, and I've got we're super happy. And so for the first time in my life, I have this sort of freedom to be able to say, okay, what do we want to do? Not necessarily what we have to do contractually or whatever. What do we want to do, right?
Well,
and I just want to learn. I've been cooking professionally for 30 years, and I still think my best work is in front of me because I think there's a lot of ways to move past not just inspiring somebody to cook, but to detangle the information so it doesn't seem so complicated. Because in a lot of ways, as chefs, we are victims of our own information.
Well,
we make things too complicated.
Chris and many others appreciate it very much.
It's a great book.
It's called Inside the Test Kitchen, Tyler Florence.
Thank you. It's my 12th book. I think it's my best one. I'm super happy.
Also, you'll be at the Delicious Food Show, which takes place October 17th to 19th, Direct Energy Center. The book comes out October 28th.
Thank you very much, guys.